This is way better than we thought. As ahead of what's going to be one of the crazier postseason runs in recent memory for the Los Angeles Lakers, we have multiple surprising updates as it pertains to both injuries and something else interesting ahead of their next game. We're going to break that down as well as break down some big implications as it pertains to the Lakers matchup that fans aren't speaking about. So a ton to go over today, folks. But before we get into it, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Lakers content. Your guys' support has been unbelievable. If you want to help us towards our big goal of 20,000 subscribers, smash that subscribe button. Ladies and gentlemen, a ton to go over today. The Lakers have officially clinched their 3 seed. It's something that we were waiting for in a while. We have a bunch of comments as well to go over today. But we do have some other things to break down as well. So stay tuned because there is a ton of things. Let's start with the injury report for their next game. So it's the injury report for the game against Portland tomorrow, and it is a little bit interesting. We're going to dive into some of the other stuff later, but let's start with this. Now, they are resting, essentially. They have the 3 seed locked up, and it makes sense to be resting their guys, but it is now confirmed as of minutes ago. Luka, Dorian, Rui, LeBron, Maxey, of course, and Austin Reaves are all out. So they are going heavily resting everyone. Jordan Goodwin should play, and then Jackson Hayes, Jared Vanderbilt, and of course, Gabe Vincent are probable. So ahead of tomorrow's game, it's going to be a pretty mundane game as it pertains to how it affects the actual standings for the Lakers, because it doesn't at all. What matters more is the out-of-town scoreboard, which we'll dive into in a minute. But just want to keep you guys updated on this. I mean, it makes total sense. You want these guys to rest, and one of the benefits being able to actually, win and clinch as recently as they did is the fact that they can now rest Luka, rest LeBron, rest all of these guys who their schedule, the Lakers, has been absolutely brutal over the past, couple weeks. Really, since the Luka Doncic trade, the schedule has been brutal. So to be able to rest these guys is absolutely massive for this team. But of course, the flip side of that is the rust side. They're going to be about a week off between the end of the regular season and the playoffs as well. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on this. But let's dive into a few different things. Now, we have some comments from the players on that seed and the way that they're feeling. Let's do that. And then we're, of course, going to dive into some of the seeding, big, reports and news there. So Austin Reaves said, I feel like we can win a championship, to be honest with you. I know everyone in the locker room believes that and are brought into their roles. And this is just better than we thought, ladies and gentlemen. Like, this team, since Luka Doncic trade, there was questions about how they were going to gel, how all these things, how Austin Reaves was going to play alongside Luka and LeBron. And I had a video on it a week or so ago saying everyone needs to calm down. Reaves is going to be just fine. He's going to be fantastic. And they're coming off of obviously a huge win. But Austin Reaves, he exudes confidence. He's averaging 20 points a game. He hit that threshold. And he says he can feel like the team can win a championship. And obviously we're Lakers fans, but we believe that. But we were seeing it in the way that they're playing. With JJ Redick's scheme, they're able to stop big men. They're able to be one of the best defensive teams, especially in the interior in the NBA as it pertains to guarding big men. And they're able to do so without running most of the time a traditional, 5-man. And it's very interesting. Now, as it pertains to the 3 seed, Luka Doncic said it is very important. And of course, it's going to be his first time having home court advantage. As you look at the Los Angeles Lakers here and the standings, we'll dive into as well. Also, just to, kind of revert back for a second, there's so much news to go over today. LeBron James, who seemed to tweak his groin a little bit in yesterday's game. JJ Redick came out and said he is perfectly fine. So this is fantastic news. He is 100% good to go. He's not going to be, limited at all. That being said, they're still going to rest him and Luka and all these different guys just because of the way that, the standings are. Let's dive into the standings a little bit now, because a few different things here. Now, we all know, Luka Doncic, they obviously acquired him from trade, all these different things. Now, as it pertains to the standings at this point, this is where it gets very interesting. I want you guys to leave your, thoughts down below. Who do you want the Lakers to play? We now know that the Lakers have clinched the 3 seed. It's official. They, of course, did that with their win yesterday. The standings are extremely close. And, thank God they're not going to be in the play-in. That's obviously, the big thing here. However, despite missing out, of course, being, not hitting the play-in, who would you rather than play? They're currently seeded. If the league stopped right now, of course, Golden State and Minnesota are tied. They would play Golden State, but there's a bunch of games going on, not only tonight, but in the, in the future as well, even though there's, barely any games left in the season. There's 1 game left. You can see this here. Strategically, I think we want the Clippers to win on Sunday, so the Lakers play Minnesota instead of Golden State. And this is the biggest conversation point that everybody is talking about, and I'm going to have a full video covering it here in the coming days. But who would you guys rather play at this point, Minnesota or Golden State? Now, obviously, it's going to most likely be between those two. I mean, it will be between those two with 1 game left in the season. But things become very interesting now because you look at the matchup, right? Golden State Warriors, they have nothing to lose, and they're really trying to, well, I guess they do have stuff to lose because Steph's, heading towards the end of his career. But in the sense of experience, they have a ton of experience in the playoffs. Now, as it pertains to the Minnesota Timberwolves, they, of course, made the big trade. They got rid of Cat. They added Julius Randle, Dante Vincenzo. They have Anthony Edwards, who is going to be available for their the game tomorrow, which is their final game of the year. And, of course, the tech got rescinded. I think if you're the Lakers, you probably would ear towards the Minnesota Timberwolves preferring that. Now, the problem with that is who has the better player between the two teams? You could argue that Ant over Steph Curry. Then when you're talking about, the supporting cast, the problem is Warriors got Jimmy Butler. They got Draymond Green. Like, they are going to be a defensive matchup, maybe a bit of a bad defensive matchup for the Lakers compared to the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves defense, they have a few guys. But I think, they have McDaniels, most notably, Jalen McDaniels. But I think the biggest thing here is there's going to be a ton of implications, even beyond, of course, the last game of the year between the Warriors and Minnesota. You can see this here for Lakers' sake. They better hope the Warriors. It's a better matchup. I'd take Lakers over Warriors, but Wolves over Lakers. And this is now the flip side of it. You have a ton of people coming out and saying that you would rather completely tale of two different things here. Some people are saying you'd rather the Lakers play Minnesota. Some people are saying you'd rather the Lakers play the Warriors. And now the question mark still becomes, again, it's out of the Lakers' control, so they can't really, there's no point of stressing about it too much unless you really want to dive into some of the matchups here. I think I'd still lean towards rathering play the Minnesota Timberwolves, but at the same time, the Warriors, they are towards the tail end, but they've been extremely good since acquiring Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry. Jimmy Butler, they've won before. Steph Curry, that is. Jimmy Butler obviously hasn't won a championship, but Jimmy Butler is dying for a championship. I think defensively they could cause some problems, but at the same time, when you look at the Minnesota Timberwolves, they have Anthony Edwards, they have Julius Randle, they have Rudy Gobert, they have some guy to match up poorly with the Los Angeles Lakers. So it starts to be a very interesting question, and it's going to be something that not only are we going to be keeping an eye on out for the foreseeable future, but also just it in a time now where you have the 3 seed secured, you have home court advantage. Being able to just be in a spot for the Lakers for the first time in a very, very long time where you can just say, okay, they're locked into their spot. You don't have to worry about winning a play-in game. You don't have to worry, and now the play-in game won't matter as much to the Lakers, but you won't have to worry about fighting for your life in the play-in game. JJ Redick comments came out that it was JJ Redick's goal at the start of the year to get the 3 seed and win 50 games, and that's exactly what he did in his inaugural year as a coach. He came out, he won 50 games. Obviously, the Luka Doncic trade happened. He had to kind of do a 180 on his strategy, at least as it pertains to going from LeBron and AD, a big man, to LeBron and Luka Doncic, of course. Point guard, is now at the point where we can all start to finally actually see who the Lakers are going to, be dealing with in the playoffs, but most importantly, how this team is going to shape up. Again, they're resting their players. You have LeBron James healthy. And as you look at the depth chart here, it's going to be a short depth chart for the playoffs. I mean, Gabe Vincent, Jordan Goodwin, it's going to be very short. And depending on the matchups here, you might see Jackson Hayes play less if you're going up against the Warriors. They're obviously smaller. You might see Jackson Hayes play more if you go up against the Timberwolves. It's a matter of who would you prefer. The difference is the Timberwolves have a more traditional big lineup. The Lakers don't match up necessarily great in theory and on paper, but you look at it beyond that in the advanced analytics, they match up very good because they have fantastic paint defense. So let me know what your thoughts are. It's going to be a little bit wild. The team seems ready to go. Everyone seems locked in, and most importantly, playoff basketball is upon us.